Coming up in this week's episode.
I remember in my head it being a bloody massive thing. Obviously,
you would have been a lot smaller, James. That's the things
true.
would have been that.
That's true,
why,
actually.
proportionately.
Nothing gets past you, Andy.
The best I could do was do shell oil and boobies.
Could have sold
and
boobies.
that was the only things I could do.
Boobless.
Boobless, yes.
5537 8008.
It's time to adjust those shoulder pads, back comb what's left of your hair, and jump into the DeLorean for a look back at what's possibly the best decade anyone could ever have grown up in.
Shall we play a game?
This is Bring Back the 80s with your hosts James Alderson and me, Andy Jackson.
Shall we play a game? Couldn't be more appropriate, James, could it?
No.
So what we got going on?
Yes, no, it couldn't be, because we're doing handheld games and handheld devices and bits and bobs in the next couple of episodes, which has got to be probably one of my favourite topics, apart from maybe TV. Ultimate kids fun in the 80s, wasn't it?
It was I was looking back at some of the things that we're going to be touching on as well. We were so easily impressed back in those days, and now if you were to give kids the 80s devices now, they would just turn their nose up.
Well, I don't know. I think some of the games that we had back then were so addictive, so simple, really simple play. Graphics basic, sometimes like 4 pixels, but you couldn't put them down. And now I think sometimes, and they've even touched on this in a few recent documentaries, sometimes you're playing it and they look super realistic, but there's just not that addiction quite the same as when you had a handheld game in your hand and you play the same boring shit for hours.
And you would become absolutely perfect at it. You would know exactly what you were doing. But I remember the first clip I'm going to play in a couple of seconds was the very first handheld video game that ever came along. And in fact, I'll play the clip now. It was this one. It was one of the very
now from
first
Atari,
ever.
a great new video game, Pac-Man. To stay alive, Pac-Man must eat power pills, vitamins, and ghosts.
I'm putting supper on now.
But beware, the ghosts bite back.
You've got 2 minutes.
Pac-Man's appetite is insatiable. To keep ahead of the game depends on your skill at feeding him.
Supper is served.
Pac-Man, the all-consuming video game, only from Atari.
So the thing is, the graphics were almost non-existent on that.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because you were making the pictures in your mind, weren't you?
Yeah, and I've got the handheld version here. So
You surprised me,
obviously. I'm going to get it out of the box. I'm not going to let you do it.
I wouldn't dare, because I'll tear the cardboard or something, James, and then it would literally be game over.
I'll put that for you. I'll put that down there carefully out the way and take it out of its little packaging. Now this is virtually unused.
That's just for your wife. So that means very expensive.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's still a bastard to play because the joystick would get hammered. So, no, that's me dead. But the joystick was made of like a inch of plastic with a little bit of rubber around it, and you would be twatting that left and right, up and down, trying to move about, and it didn't stand the test of a 7-year-old smashing the hell out of it and getting angry with the ghosts. So yeah, that's this is pretty much the first handheld version of it, based on, as you say, the Atari game, which was pretty much the first games machine ever to enter a home.
Yeah, I mean, for the very, very first one that I remember was the one where it was just the table tennis, the bat and ball.
Yeah, was it called Blip or something
like that?
or
and
Pong or one of them?
It was actually, I remember my granddad being a bit of a technical genius, had a kit and he made it out of a kit.
Wow.
It was like, this is like from tail end of the 70s, very beginning of the 80s, and it was black and white and you plugged it into your telly, so it would work like that, and it was literally black and white, and it would go bip Bob, Bipper. And that was the sound, and the graphics were that. So the Pac-Man that we just seen in the clip, it was in colour. There was blue and there was white. But then on that, look at the size of the screen on that, and just the emotive noise it makes when you just fire it up again for us, James.
Well, the screen itself is like 1.5 inches by about 4.5 inches. Bloody huge, great bit of plastic. And this was quite musical compared to a lot of the handheld games, even ones that came afterwards. But it's got yellow, bit of blue, bit of red, And the joystick, it's not great. But yeah, I mean, it was amazing, really. I was lucky. I had a lot of consoles. I didn't have an Atari, but I had a lot of consoles growing up, so I didn't end up getting too many handheld games. So my friends were jealous of me having consoles in my bedroom, but I was jealous of them because I had all these handheld games instead that we're going to go through over the next couple of episodes. But this is a great bit of kit, and as you say, one of the first games, really, electronic games that entered the house.
Am I right in thinking as well, no rechargeable batteries? That would just be every time the batteries ran out.
Yeah, I think so.
Batteries.
I mean, late 80s, I think they did have rechargeables, and they did actually recharge. We've got rechargeables at home. They're bollocks. They do not last.
No.
I don't know. You recharge them once, and the second time you use them, they last half the time. The third time they use them, a quarter of the time. The fourth time you use them, you might as well have just breathed on them to hope they give them more energy. But the thing you used to do, of course, in handheld devices was just when their batteries ran out, you'd get them out and you'd give the end to the battery a bit of a friction.
Yes.
Or you'd blow on the inside of the device if it wasn't quite working right. Go or you'd just spin the batteries round.
Yeah, and
inside.
It always works.
It always came back on.
Works.
Unlike on this one, I've got the grandstand scramble, which is a bit like it's sort of asteroids era. I haven't got the batteries in this one, but it probably works just as well, to be honest. Some of them were really hit and miss when you turn them on, even when they were new, as to whether it was going to always come on. But yeah, kids would just sit for hours in the corner of the lounge and just play on one game. And like you say, Blip, I mean, I have a Blip or Pong, whatever you want to, it was called, but back in the day, that was 70s, really. My mum had one, and it was just two moving bars and a ball, and I don't think you can really class it as digital. I think it was actually something moving behind the screen with lights. It was just awful. And then they did bring them out on some very basic computer games consoles, but Atari probably had it as well. But yeah. Great.
I remember as a kid trying to figure out, how does this work? How does it know where the ball is?
Yeah.
But now nobody cares.
No,
it just comes from the sky.
Yeah.
And it all does the stuff. We talk about the sounds that they make when they come on as well. Let's do the mystery sound.
Yep.
And see. And probably James, you will instantly get this, but we're going to do the mystery sound now. We'll tell you what it is at the end of this episode as well. But it's the startup of something. See if you can work out what startup it is.
It's the mystery sound of the 80s. It's the mystery sound of the 80s.
That sound could be for any one of a million years, but somebody will know. Somebody will say, "Oh yes, I know exactly what that was." But you always had that sound. You didn't always get the musical startup. Sometimes you just had that.
Oh yeah. Pain. Well, one thing with handheld devices of the 80s is they really did start at the beginning to try and make them educational. And here I've got Major Morgan, or Major Organ, as we used to call it. Came out in 79 officially, but everybody's bedroom had one. Everybody had one of these, or knew someone who had one. And they desperately wanted you to learn and be educational devices. No one's getting shot in the face in these ones. And this is obviously mint condition, and it's got different ways to learn your music, right? Absolutely rubbish. This is, and what you did was you had all your keys at the top, which were the notes to play the tune that was at the bottom, and then you play this and it plays the tune. Right, I'll try and do it. Look, right.
Very good.
Guess what it is?
Yes, I can.
What is it?
A happy birthday.
No.
That's the stylophone
London
voice, though.
Bridge, yeah. Rolf would have loved this game.
Wouldn't he just?
Especially if it was Major Organ. But yeah, let's make music. That's another slogan from Rolf's shows.
Yes.
Let's make music together. Can you see what it is yet? So, yeah, Major Morgan was the first educational sort of bit of kit to try and get you to learn music, 1970. And then, obviously, as we all know, the big one that we all had in our bedrooms and were bought was this beast of a bloody thing.
OMG.
The Speak and Spell.
Yes.
Huge thing. I don't know why it had to be so massive, because when you take it out, the original of Speak and Spell was not actually as big as our memories tell us. This is the original with all the instructions, of course, and there it is. I remember in my head it being a bloody massive thing. Obviously,
you would have been a lot smaller, James. That's things
true.
would have been that's
true,
why
actually.
proportionately.
Nothing gets past you,
yes.
Andy. So Speak and Spell, something that kids these days can't do, especially not allowed eye contact. So they can't speak, they can't spell. This came out, I think, in this country 81, something like that. America maybe 78, 79. And you had to. Oh, see, hey, see, there we go, brilliant. So. That's as good as it gets, really. It's still a word.
They made it seem a lot better in the TV commercials.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me just tell you how good it was in the TV commercial, James. Hold it there. Hold it there for 1 second.
Okay, go.
Now spell color. C-O-L-O-R. Wrong.
This is Speak and Spell from Texas Instruments.
L-O-U-R.
Spell with it.
That is correct.
Keep score.
9
Play
correct.
mystery words and more. And now there's Speak and Maths too.
36 divided by 9. 4.
Speak and Spell, Speak and Maths, Little Professor from Texas Instruments. Make learning more fun than games.
That is correct.
You see, the weird thing there is it's an American voice, but he spelled colour
Colour,
right.
yeah.
Brilliant, isn't it?
I think they must have done that because the English parents back when parents cared must have thought, oh, it's American, it's going to be teaching them wrong. So that was their way of proving that it was especially made for the UK audience. So they must have had 2 different versions.
Yeah, must have done.
Must have done.
Oh, this is guessing. I'm guessing the thing here, the word it's given me. Sorry, I'm very, very busy.
Put the mic next to your voice, next to your mouth as well. Otherwise, we can't hear you, James.
I can't do both. I can't hang about. I don't know what this word's going to be. It's got an H and a T in it. But yeah, it's as I say, huge bit. I mean, with that handle, this has been twatting around kids' hands.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
it's like mummy, bang round the head. So yeah, great bit of kit. The funny thing with a lot of these technologies, they didn't always have off buttons. I've discovered. So I don't know how to put this back in. So yeah, there's a lot of these ones that we'll go through maybe in the next episode. Didn't have an off button. You just died, closed it, and that was the end of it. He didn't have infinite lives.
Well, there was no. The thing was, there was no ultimate goal, was there? The goal was to be educated.
Yep.
And there was no, there's no win or lose.
No, I suppose not.
There was no gameplay as such. All you were doing was learning. And when we were watching the one with the maths, I was actually thinking to myself, although they've put it in a box and made it look like a toy.
Yeah.
It is just a bloody calculator.
Can you imagine getting that for Christmas? the maths one, no, I don't recall at all. Speak and Spell, everyone talks about and remembers, and that bright orange. But then they even made the maths colour boring, didn't they? Grey and beigey blue, and and the kid looks at the camera as if to say, "Shit." And it was. I've got here an old scientific calculator, W.H. Smith one, with a bit of branding on there, because obviously W.H. Smith now announced they're going to close a lot of their high street stores.
We said they were on their way out.
Yeah, of course they were.
In an earlier
what did you
episode.
say? The ones that they're going to keep
is the airport ones.
Of course they are, because that's why they charge £7 for a Twix, right? So of course they're going to keep them. Hello. So they want to keep all the stations and railway ones, and they want to sell off the high street ones. And everyone's like, oh no, another unit closing. No, they're selling them off. So some mug's going to buy them and open them up as a discount store. But the reason I've got this with instructions, obviously, is that you might not recall this because you're 40 years older than me, but they started introducing in the early 80s little games in a separate screen at the top of calculators. Like there's a little boxing game and a little Space Invaders game on the calculator itself. And there'd be a couple of simple buttons at the top, probably because they were sly. And whoever decided kids are bored of maths, let's get them to buy our calculator because they'll have a little game at the top. And I haven't got one to show you because they're very rare. But they did little things like that. On watches, you'd have a calculator watch and it'll have a Space Invaders on it and stuff. So it was very sly, very clever of the calculator manufacturers, Casio or whatever, because obviously Casio brought out some electronic handheld games as well. But yes, loved the scientific calculator, but I loved it even more when it had games on it.
I never understood what any of the things on the scientific calculator were for.
No.
I had the squiggly lines. I know there was a sin and there was a cosine and everything. I was one of those kids who never knew what any of those buttons meant or did. The best I could do was do shell oil and boobies. And that was the only things I could do.
Boobless, yes. 5537 8008. Hello. And in the middle of mash, you'd be like that to your friend. And they go, shut up. Alderson. Detention. So they got sin, obviously, that was me. Cosplay, probably, and tan. That's when he did.
What the hell was tan? That's
when he did lessons outside in the summer. I don't know what it is. And I've also got, very quickly, because I know we're doing short things, a lovely little device here, which is a handheld Casio television. Doesn't work anymore, of course, because they've got rid of all the old analog aerials. So bloody useless thing to have. But it's a lovely little thing. Thank you. To stand up, you tune in. You could get it was colour. I mean, it was only 2 inches across, so you had to be under 30 to be able to see. I
think when I was a kid, I really, really wanted one of those, but they were just ridiculously expensive.
Yes, they were. They were just very expensive.
Crazy expensive.
They were a couple of £100.
Yeah, which in today's money, thousands.
Best certainly a grand or a little bit more. I think I even got rid of my original one. I just found this at a car boot for like a couple of quid, and they even said to me, "Still works." I was like, "That's impossible. That's impossible." Because there's no analog. It turns on, if that's what you mean, and the screen. If you want to watch white noise for the rest of your life, I mean, come on, be nice. And the most important thing is this, which is where we all got our little handheld devices from. As a kid, it was magical to go into Dixon's and to go and look in the glass cabinets. Under the glass cabinets were all the new electronic games in their boxes, which I'll show in the next episode. The big ones, the famous ones, and you couldn't touch them. And they wouldn't even take them out and show you them because you knew what they did. You saw the adverts, but you could see them there in their frame, not even on with the boxes, and you look under there like you're looking at the crown jewels. And inside Dixon's, they would have the latest stuff, the latest technology, the latest handheld devices. It was just so exciting. Dixon's. And
can you imagine? Now you go into the stores, everything's there. They've got dedicated machines for you to, even though you know what it does. Yeah, they're there for you to play on. But literally, you were just looking at the boxes. Yeah. And the machinery turned off.
Well, yeah, even the Spectrum, the ZX Spectrum, which is behind your left shoulder there, it would just be in a box behind a shell, behind glass. You couldn't touch it. And now, if you go into Apple, or I don't know, even if you go PC World, you go on it. You're going on it.
Yeah, you play with it.
Yeah, you can't find a member of staff for love nor money, but you can play on the device, and if you're quick enough, you've got it.
Yes.
No, you weren't allowed. I mean, the thing is, the security is so much more heightened now. They've got alarm systems, things are stuck onto alarms, and people looking at you and different things. But you go into Dixon's, security was even more heightened because you couldn't get the fucking thing in your hand. You had to hand over money, and then they gave you the thing.
The thing is now, though, they've got all the security, in the Apple stores and everything. But if somebody comes in and just says, "I'm having everything," nobody's going to stop them because there's a no touching kind of rule, isn't there? Don't touch
the kids.
Don't touch the kids.
And it's always
just
been the same.
Go. Yes.
But nobody listened in the 80s. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I don't think even if you went into Dixon's and went, "Can I just have a look at that?" I think they'd be like,
No.
Why?
You got your money?
Yeah, you buy it or not.
Yeah.
You can't have it and look at, and it's quite strange. And I think the most of the reasons is we went into Dixon's because we'd already played on one that one of our friends had, so we were going in to buy what they had. Someone must have.
So they were quite right then. You didn't actually know. You knew what it did. You didn't want to waste their time.
Buy the game. It's like saying, "Can I set up bloody Monopoly, please, before I buy it?" No, you know what it does. Get off.
I'll tell you what I don't remember though from those days when you would go in, they didn't spend half an hour trying to sell you an upgraded warranty. Like when you go in now and you buy a cable, and then it's a flipping cable, and they say, "Oh, do you want to protect that cable?"
Well, that's just setting your anxiety on edge, aren't they? They're saying, "Oh God, this might not work tomorrow." I'm like, "Well, I fucking hope it does, or I'll be back, mate." But these days, people are like, "I'm on the sofa now. I can't be bothered to take it back. Oh, do I have to phone someone? I don't want to go back to the shop." So they just go online and claim a free one in return. But back then it was like, it's not, it would work.
Yeah,
it would work. These bloody things are 40 to 50 years old and they bloody work.
Yes.
And a lot of them, I'll be honest with you, when I bought them and opened up the battery compartment, were not so lovely. My fingers are still stinging from the acid that we had to clean out of those battery units. Yeah, you open it and go, oh no. Yeah, but some of them have been in the garage, the loft, with batteries in. You take it out, you clean it up, they work. So yeah, that's why we didn't need extended warranties, because the thing bloody works, mate.
Yes. Whereas now you buy a phone, next year, it slows down because they've got to protect the batteries, so it's got to slow
but
down.
also you got to remember that adults made the games in the 80s, but kids are making the phones these days, you see. So that's the problem.
Chinese kids
haven't, or any kids, I don't know where they are, but they can't bloody make a phone for shit. I tell you what, none of these electronic devices would have lasted 45 years if a 7-year-old had made them. Yes, these were made by grown-ups. Phones are rubbish, made by kids. That is the solution.
Just about to do the mystery sound reveal that we played at the beginning of the episode.
Yes.
It could have been any computer.
It could be any.
You want to take a random guess at a random computer.
Well, one of my heart would be a Spectrum, but I would probably guess it's something more random, knowing you.
Let's have a little
Commodore.
see. Let's have a look and see, shall we?
James's special lunchbox surprise.
Should we do that then? I reckon we should do. Shall we do the mystery sound reveal after the lunchbox
After
surprise?
the lunchbox surprise.
Do you want to have a little dig in?
You can tell it's a new season, can't you? Not quite into the swing of things yet.
We've even got the order on the board.
Bloody whiteboard over
And
there.
I'm following it.
Do you know what? I've even got it on a piece of paper here, James.
Burn it.
What the fuck?
Oh dear. Right.
Dear.
Now these were discontinued a couple of years ago, and they came back for a few months, and they were big hits in the 80s. I was never a huge fan.
I loved these.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned before, and I just thought, I don't know, but I saw them and thought, well, these are classic 80s. They've been discontinued. I found you some. Let's try them.
Do you want me to keep this one wrapped so it can go in your collection?
No. No. Oh, well. I mean, that's surprising. Because that is the first time I've ever had we'll get that bit in a minute. First time I've ever had a Caramac.
Ever?
Yeah. It's like salted caramel.
How did you know you didn't like them then?
It just doesn't appeal. It's not. Look at it. Look at that. It's just like, ugh.
Beige, proper
it's like
beige.
Toilet sweet colour, isn't it? That's the colour that you would get. Avocado or Caramac.
Yeah.
What colour's your toilet? Caramac. But yeah, I mean, it's nice though. It's like salted caramel, do you not think?
Yeah, very much.
Which is weird, because salted caramel was a new thing 10 years ago that no bugger had ever had.
There was no such thing. You could never have salt with anything sweet.
No.
That was never a thing.
But this tastes like it.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Is it still the same?
100% the same.
Is it the size? The size is bigger.
Size is I think they were always thin. They were always very thin.
Were they always that big across?
I don't think they were. I think they might have made them actually bigger rather than smaller.
Which we discovered with a lot of chocolate bars, didn't we?
It's because we all need filling up a little bit more.
We do.
James,
our stomachs are bigger.
They
apparently.
are indeed. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, good.
That's good. No, I like that. That's good. Give that a solid 9 out of 10.
I've got another one from the multi-pack, so you can take that home with you.
Oh, James, you spoil me.
I know.
You spoil me. Right, let's reveal that mystery sound.
Oh, shall we? Have we not done that already?
Let's have a look and see if we can reveal that mystery sound. You guessed a Commodore or something, didn't you?
Commodore, maybe.
It's
Spectrum.
the mystery sound of the 80s. It's the mystery sound of the 80s.
Oh, it's a VIC-20. Wow.
Beautiful colours. Beautiful colours.
Yeah, I mean, the VIC-20 was before my time, really. I think I got the ZX81 in sort of 1981, something like that. Then the ZX Spectrum. Then moved on to a Commodore. I think I had an Amiga. There's an Amstrad at one point.
Was the one thing that everybody coveted was the Amstrad. There was a word processor, wasn't it? An Amstrad word processor.
It had a cassette as part of it, and then Spectrum brought out the +2 with a cassette next to it, obviously with all the joysticks and stuff. So yeah, but that noise haunted many a kid's bedroom through the 80s. Just like it's been going on for hours. I don't know if it's working. Well, yeah, and you look on the screen and think, can you see what it is yet? But it's it would slowly scroll through the graphics, and you'd be like, oh, good, it's loading, and you press load, and I'll press play, and it would all start up. It was lovely, but that noise. I mean, what a noise! It's like a horror movie.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Pick a different noise, but I mean, I suppose I didn't have a choice. It's the white noise.
It's the noise. The digital noise.
Ugh.
Plenty more of those horrible noises to come in the next episode.
Yep.
This has been episode number 1 of our new season 4. 2025 series.
2020. It is the future. Talking about the past. The irony. But yeah, handheld games, wonderful, and lots more to come in episode 2.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition. We'd love it if you could subscribe in your favourite podcast app. And don't forget, there's a video version on YouTube too. You can contact us using the links in the show notes and on the YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time for another edition of Bring Back the 80s.